Hey everyone, this is Miguel Morales Photography. This is a little bit of a new series that I'm kind of doing with some friends at first, and then eventually some new guests, maybe some people that I haven't talked to. It's kind of just like a virtual lounge. At the time that I'm starting this podcast, we're kind of going through a quarantine via COVID-19. So I just thought, for now, since we can't see each other, I just thought I'd invite some friends over via Discord, kind of just like a real talk, virtual lounge style podcast, I guess. So for my very first episode, I invited my friend Manelle over. So would you like to say hello, Manelle?
Hi, thank you for inviting me, first of all. I'm happy to be on here and I can't wait to dive into some stuff that we're going to talk about.
Okay, so I guess first we can start off. So both you and I would say, I know you kind of dabble more a little bit into other creative venues now, but I would say, we're both photographers and we both kind of have very similar-ish stories of how we got into it, but would you kind of want to tell first how you got into doing photography for yourself?
Yeah, so I started, I guess, dabbling into photography about the summer after middle school. So after 8th grade, I was just obsessed with wedding blogs and just looking at photos and seeing all these photographers and their lifestyles. So I would always be on my computer looking up all these wedding blogs. And that summer, I asked my parents if they would buy me just a normal DSLR. At the time, it was a huge deal to have a DSLR. Not anybody could just buy one for themselves, especially not as a little teenager. But at the time, my parents were like, okay, this is your only Christmas gift, birthday gift, everything. And so I was like, yeah, I definitely want that. And they got me a little point and shoot camera at first. So I set myself up for getting a DSLR, but I had to start off with that. But I think it really helped me develop a creative eye first before relying on my equipment to do the job. So after a couple months of using a point and shoot and just printing all my photos, learning about every art concept when it came to rule of thirds and lines and shape, all that stuff, I got a DSLR. I had a Canon Rebel T3, the very first one, I believe. And I had it with the kit lens. And so I've had that for basically 3 or 4 years. I can't even remember. But that's the camera that I started with and worked my portfolio up with. So from freshman year up until a senior, I basically just taught myself everything I knew. I studied every single day. I took thousands of photos, and eventually when I became a senior, I thought I could totally run a business with this. I could totally get my own clients. It shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah.
So I definitely was naive at the time, but I think it served me well because I wasn't afraid to fail, and I was just really into it for the creativity and the art. I never went into it because I knew that I could make money off of it. But over time, gaining that reputation and people knowing that that's what I did was really nice because people already knew me for that. And yeah, it just went from there. So from after graduating high school, I took it more seriously and did a lot of weddings, did a lot of events, shot a ton of portraits, just got to meet awesome people from all over the world. And now that it's been about maybe 7 years, I've finally got to the point of, well, what's next? Do I really take this seriously and kind of build a company with that, or do I venture off into something else? And I think I'm at that period of I don't really know yet. I still love to do photography, but I also have so many other interests, and I just don't want to look back and say that I didn't try those things out because photography was very consuming for me. And so I think I'm still learning right now what that fine balance is. So that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to photography.
I mean, even when I was starting to, because I think I started like maybe just a bit after you, but even then, like when I was first starting, like a lot of people kept telling me about you. So you definitely already were making a name for yourself, like, because I think I'm only like 1 year older than you, and I think I got into it, I guess, seriously come college time, because I didn't actually take the photography class at Baldwin. I kind of was just like, I guess my story's a little weird because I'm like trying to explain how it is. So I guess from my history, my family, I guess, is the type that they have like 20 photo albums like laying around the house, like somewhere growing up, and they would always give me like little film cameras too. And then I remember as a kid, like I very vividly remember, like I would always get sad every time the camera would click whenever you're rolling it to the next film, but then you can't do it anymore, and then I would like get like really sad about it as a kid. And then I have like no idea how I got my family into getting me a point and shoot camera. Like I just remember, like I think I still in my house have my very first point and shoot camera. It's broken beyond repair now, but I just remember bringing that with me to EL school all the time. And I don't know if this was you during EL school in Baldwin, but I was that person in the group of friends where I was always the picture taker. Like I was always the one, like every time we go to the mall, every time we go to a friend's house, every time we're at school at recess, like I had my camera on me at all times, ready to like make like a stupid YouTube video. You know what I mean?
I would bring my DSLR around like freshman year, and I would always just bring it to all the games. I would just carry it around during school. But at the time, I think I didn't want to attract so much attention on the fact that I had like a nice camera, because I was afraid of losing it or kind of leaving it somewhere and someone taking it. So I think a little bit of me was still like, I didn't really see anybody else around me carrying their cameras. So I was just a little more shy, I guess, to be the only one just, you know, carrying around a really expensive looking camera and just, yeah.
See, that's why I always kept carrying just my point and shoot, because like I was always, well, I don't think I had a DSLR back then, but I was always scared that like if I had as big of a camera, and just because I've had a lot of friends during high school that have had a lot of their stuff stolen during like class or on their recess, like, you know, when they're not looking, that, well, at least if it's just the point and shoot camera, I can just keep it in my pocket and I'm not going to lose it. But if it's like a DSLR, like there's no guarantee that like the moment that I leave it in my bag, someone isn't gonna like take it, or someone that doesn't like me is just gonna be like, oh, well, I'm gonna go take it now. But like it's so weird, because even then, like just before I got out of high school, like I guess because I was like that one gay best friend out of all my groups of friends, with every single like group of girlfriends, like I was that person that every time I would come with them, like to EL Valley or to Hana or something like that, they'd be like, oh my gosh, Miguel, like, oh my gosh, we're all gonna pose. Can you like take our picture? And then, of course, like people would see that, and then people were like, oh my gosh, you take such good pictures. And then it kind of just like, I guess the gears must have clicked somehow. And I was like, well, you know, I guess I could make a living out of this. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then, of course, I took one photography class in like freshman year in college, and then I took the last one, which was the one that you and I were together in.
Yeah.
And then by then, like, of course, like I was already hearing like word around the bend of like how like you were doing a lot of lifestyle, a lot of like couple stuff, and just like you had already like been getting your name out there. So at that point, like I was like so scared to kind of talk to you, because just so much people just when I was starting were just talking so much about, you know, it's just like, I don't know. I'm like, is she beyond my level? I don't know. Like, can I interact with her? Because then I started using Pixie Set because of you. Like, if it wasn't for you, I
definitely, Pixie Set was one of those things where I was like, every person should know about this. Like, I don't see myself going back to my old, like my old system. Like, Pixie Set had everything. But yeah, I definitely think that when I shared that was something a lot of people thanked me later on, saying that because of that, it really changed the way they sent their photos, you know?
Because I started with Google Drive, because that was all I had at first. And then I kind of transferred over to Pixie Set. But then at the time, there was no option to kind of share it to Dropbox or Google Drive. And a lot of people kept asking me like, oh, do you have a Dropbox? So now what I do is I use technically both. Pixieset and Dropbox just to kind of send out my photos. But even now, like my new website is set up on Pixieset now that the service was offered.
Right.
So like everything, I kind of like, I guess I'm like thankful for like, again, each opportunity that each photographer has kind of like shared with me. Because again, there's a lot of stuff that, especially when coming from us, from like a younger generation, that maybe we don't necessarily have the time to learn from some of the photographers who have come before us, or regardless, or maybe they're, or even so, maybe they're more of like the classic type, where maybe they're more like gallery style photographers and they don't do a lot of like online or social media. Like they're the ones that are just out in the field and kind of just do gallery work. So kind of learning from each other and then not seeing it, I guess, as competition, to me, I feel has really helped me out, and I feel really helped me get closer to other photographers. Because I think just at the end of the day, there's going to be certain things that when we look through the lens of our camera, like what you see is going to be different than what I see, like the colors we use, like the way that we edit, like what we're interested in taking, you know, it's all going to be different, which I guess kind of like made it really hard for me to want to interact with photographers on Maui for when I was starting, because I was just like, oh man, oh no, are they gonna like
no
Sorry.
I can definitely relate to exactly that, because I think when I first started out, I didn't know anyone that was really taking photos and taking it seriously at my age. Everybody that I looked up to were people that were ahead of the game, way beyond me. They were probably shooting for about a good 10 years already. So the people that I definitely admired and kind of took advice and mentorship from were people who have already been established, and that made it a little bit of a challenge for me to relate, but it also inspired me to want to grow to that level. And I think that's what allowed me to be really known for doing photos at the time, is because anytime I wanted to get better, I went after the people I knew I could learn from. I remember sending so many emails to so many photographers here, and half, or like maybe even more than that, didn't respond to me, or half of them even said like, oh, I don't really have time for this, sorry. And then a good bunch of them ended up meeting me in person and having a conversation and just sharing with me their journey. So even those I'm so appreciative of, because it definitely shows me that when you get to that level, there's always something you can do to give back, and I always aspired to do the same.
So speaking of growing, of course we've been like what year of photography has this been for you?
It's hard to say, because I feel like I'm still juggling between going full force or taking a step back, and that's never been an issue for me in photography since I've started, because I was always so deeply passionate and into it. But I think starting a different venture now that I'm in the hair industry has made it a challenge for me to devote my time into one thing.
Well, at least, you know? Like I would say like a good thing about what you're doing too is because I have noticed this, like I said, like there are certain photographers where they do photography as kind of like their main thing, but a lot of what they do on the side kind of helps to boost what they're already doing.
Exactly.
So for like, I know for Princess, like she does photography mainly, but she also does like design work, which I think she then does to kind of market with businesses, being like, hey, I can also create logos or stickers for you, that sort of thing. So I think what's really good with you and like hairstyling is, for me, I have this problem all the time where I do so much shoots and I'm just like, damn it, there's so much hairs in her face that I didn't see, because I'm getting so in the moment of the photo shoot that there's certain things that like having a hairstylist would be nice to have on top of that. So if you're both a hairstylist and a photographer, I think that kind of helps add to little details in very specific areas. So say, for example, if you're like, I kind of get more into costume designing and cosplay. So for me, I kind of focus more on just the outfit and the concept, and not so much on other details like the hair, which again has always been like a main thing for me, where I'm just like, damn it, there's always like hairs flying around, like what do I do, like shoot, that sort of thing. So I can imagine for you it's a little bit easier with, especially when you do like family stuff or styled wedding shots, like it's easier for you to kind of notice those details because you do a little bit of both of those things. So kind of like taking what you're already doing on the side and already enhancing it with what you're doing primarily.
Yeah, I think that totally makes sense because I haven't really thought of it that way. And I think for the longest time, I assumed it always had to be one thing over the other. But now thinking about it, I think I can definitely make photography a little bit of a leverage for the main goal and the main purpose I have now, rather than making it the star of everything I do, which is what it was like when I first started. So transitioning from making photography my one and only thing, my one and only hobby, to making it something that I use on the side to promote and help build something else that I'm trying out, I think makes perfect sense. And I think that's probably what I'll take with it.
Like, if I was in your position, like, I've talked to a few other photographers in their very specific regions, but like if I was in your specific position, like I would kind of like just do someone's hair and then kind of like slyly mention, like, you know, like how for salons they take pictures of the client's hair, or like pictures of them in the salon after they're done with the appointment. So for me, like if I was in that position, I would have been like, oh hey, like by the way, like I also kind of like do a little bit of photography, or kind of after taking the picture of them in the salon, kind of like mentioning that you do a little bit of that, or and vice versa. Like if I was doing a photo shoot and then afterwards, like say for example, like it's a newer beginner model or starting out who maybe they kind of know how to do makeup but not so much their hair, then kind of nudging them in after the photo shoot, being like, oh by the way, like, you know, like I'm a hairstylist too, like, you know, I can give you a few tips, or if you want to come to my salon after, like I can definitely like set you up with something. It's just how I see, like, it's the benefit of the specific area that you're in, where it kind of like really collides, or not collides, like intersects with each other.
Yeah,
I would say.
No, definitely. I think that's the goal now moving forward, because I did something similar before where I did a shoot that involved more of the hairstyles for bridal work, because that's something I'm getting into. And I also had her husband join us so that we could do some wedding portrait photos that could serve for my website for my photos as well. So really finding ways to integrate all of that has been super cool and super fun to do, actually, because it's not only just something I've always been doing, but it's kind of a new twist to it. So I think that new challenge is what excites me to keep producing more work that are just like that.
And I think it's really cool too, because you can also collab in more ways than one, rather than just photography. Because that's the thing that I realized, because that's what I've really been trying to work on for 2020, is as far as my collabs, I want to get more local artists and creatives involved. Because again, like when I started, it was just me and the model. And now I'm like in this whole thing where I'm like, okay, we need to get the clothing company, we need to get the hair person, we need to get the makeup person, we need to like get like the earrings, like the accessories, like the bathtub, like we need to get all these people involved, so that way it feels more of like a collaborative group project and like accomplished feeling at the end, rather than it just being me and the model. Because then like also too, like of course like you get your work seen by each other person's like demographic and niche, but especially for you, because you can do hairstyle, like say for example, like of course like I've shot with you as a model before, so I could definitely put like, oh, model Manelle Rose, but then also to say for example like I'm working with another model and then we kind of like collaborate on that, but instead you do the hair, then it's like, okay, model is so and so, photographer is me, hair by Manelle, like clothing by so and so, and that sort of thing. Like I don't know, I say it as a little bit more of a fun thing, rather than just because like my main problem before when I was starting out is like I had so many ideas, but I really should have just. So now what I do is I really try to collab and really try to bring all the ideas together, rather than doing so much one-off shoots, because that was always my problem, is I kept wanting to do like individual specific shoots for everyone. So I was like, okay, I want to do a specific shoot with this model. Okay, then do a specific shoot with this clothing brand. Okay, then do a specific shoot with this makeup artist, and all keeping them all separate. That I'm kind of just like, why don't we just all just like, this is going to be less time in planning for me to have to do like 3 separate shoots. Why don't we all just get together and do something together? Because I'm going to drive myself insane if I have to like take like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos per shoot rather than just doing one whole big collaborative shoot with everyone, which has saved me so much time, like genuinely so much time. And as you know, we've talked about it before, that I feel like I kind of have chronic fatigue syndrome, so I'm just tired all the time. So I'm kind of at this point where I can't really afford to waste as much time as I used to back when I was a kid, or back when I was like just out of high school and kind of just partying. So I kind of like have to make the most of like scheduling and et cetera, et cetera. So it's just,
and it's more efficient, you know. I think that's really the goal, is just to not be busy, but to be productive and make use of your time wisely so that you can get back to other things that you want to do.
Oh yeah. So speaking of, so like I said, we've both been in photography for quite a few amount of years. So do you have some favorites and non-favorites that you've taken? Like, you don't have to specifically say like, oh, I didn't like working with this model. It's more just like either maybe the concept was wrong, or the day and time that you shot was wrong, like any personal or on the flip side, like any personal photos that you're just like, this is pure Manelle Rose photography, like this is like the best example of what I do. And then some other stuff that you're just kind of like, this isn't really good, and you kind of just look back at it, like maybe photos from like 2015, 2016 that you're kind of just like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think I have quite a handful of those moments, but a few to really name, I think, would be shooting events, specifically birthdays. I used to do them a lot before because it provided me resources and money, obviously, to put back into the business and to get more gear and all that stuff. So it was for a good reason, but I find that they're really not what shows my capability as an artist. So I find that when people approach me to purely document birthdays or events, I just don't find that it highlights what I can do as a photographer. So those are probably not the ones I consider to be my favorites, just for that reason. Even though they're great people and I've been to a lot of great events that really took care of me, I think those are definitely in the past and probably not something I'll be doing anymore. Mm-hmm. But as far as my favorites, I would have to say that most recent shoot I did with bridal hair.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
Probably my favorite, just because every look and every detail, from the outfit to their dress to their the location, was all carefully curated. So I really went off of the vision I had in my head and not just went with a location and told myself I'll find something that'll work, because most times I tend to just do that because it's hard to plan for a shoot not knowing what the lighting will look like, what the day will look like. So it was just so many different factors, but for the first time I really took every component and made sure that the lighting looked like that the day that it was shot, and like really studying what the image is going to look like based on the lighting, which is really hard to do because you can pull off an inspiration off of Pinterest or something like that, but to mimic that lighting and bring it to life is a different story, you know?
I mean, that's why, like, even though I don't like using the same location, sometimes it's nice to go to the same location but at different times. So for example, like,
exactly.
you know like the bamboo forest at Kepani Vai Park, like I've shot there like in the morning, in like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and in the evening, and three very, very distinct atmospheres and vibes. But
right.
If I kind of like, because I'm like one of those people where I'm like, again, maybe it's a younger person mindset where I'm like, oh no, like I have to keep doing something new. I have to do something like different each time, that I'm a little bit more on the fence of not wanting to use the same location. But at the same time, maybe there's certain things that because I didn't know that shooting at EL Valley in the bamboo forest in the evening time was the best, because otherwise I would have just shot during the afternoon or morning. But some of my best shots came from the evening time, and I was just like, man, like even though I don't like reusing the same shot, like it's nice to come back and kind of see and understand, like, and it helps to plan for future stuff too, because then otherwise your only understanding is just the first shoot that you did. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah,
But it
all
can
of those things come into play.
like it can be like, I think one of the hardest things too is just, especially when you're traveling. I'm sure, especially when you were living in the mainland, I'm sure you must have experienced this. But when you're taking pictures in new places that you have like new islands or new states that you have never been to before, like we're kind of more leaning towards like I guess, for example, like when I'm back home, of course, you know me, like I do a lot of weird conceptual stuff, like really weird, like like cosplay, like Halloween-y costume styled shoots. And
Yeah.
here at home, I have more of the time to plan for it because I know like exactly which model, which location, what type of lighting, etc., etc. But
Right.
when I travel to like Oregon or Michigan or like California or that sort of thing, I kind of just want to work with as much people as I can. So I transition more to that mindset that you're talking about of just, oh, let's just meet at this location and then we'll just figure it out from there.
Yeah.
Which can be like, honestly, one of the hardest things too, especially when I was like working on Big Island and I had to drive to each and every single like model's locations and just realizing that like, oh God, I don't know what's here. Like, I need to find something quickly lest I waste this model's time, especially if I have like 5 shoots that day. And I'm doing one at like 10 a.m., 12 p.m., 2 p.m., 4 p.m., 6 p.m. And then it's like, I don't have time to like do a fully curated shoot. It's more just like, oh, okay, I need to like make this person look insanely unreal and beautiful.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of acting quick and knowing how to just deliver with pressure and the time restraint, or it's just taking your time and really working smarter to where you understand how to pull off an image based on just knowledge that you know and you collect from experience. So that definitely takes years, because you have to know, you have to shoot in order to learn all of that. You don't just read about it, you know?
Yeah. I think as far as like the thing that I really just, I look back at it and I just was not a fan of it. I think I'm not really a fan of pageants, mostly I guess just because the light really doesn't like work well with me for events. And I think my main mistake, like I always will tell this to all my female models who, and again, maybe this is also why I don't do as much beach or bikini shoots anymore, but a lot of girls would tell me back then, which again, it's also my fault because I kind of didn't know and I had to do it for myself to realize, but a lot of girls were like, hey, like, yeah, I want to do like a beach shoot at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon with my really long hair at this windy beach.
Yeah.
Where I was just like, man, the lighting sucks. The hair is everywhere. I'm not having a fun time. I'm really trying to make you look good. But man, this is like, we're either going to have to shoot in the shade or like I'm going to have to do some really intense major lighting editing because this is not the tea. This is not making it work. So I kind of just look back at those. And also I think, again, I didn't have like the official classes from Baldwin, so I kind of like, I think people before for Picasso, he had a blue period. I had what my friends called an orange period, where I guess I didn't understand what saturation was and how it worked. And I guess I made a lot of people look a lot more sun-baked than they really should be. And I look back at those photos and I'm just like, you're really orange. Like, I'm so sorry, everyone. I did not mean to make you all look so orange. Thankfully, I didn't continue it like for more than a year, but I just remember thinking that year, I was just like, man, like, because the one model that kind of, he's a friend of mine now, but he called me out on it, like kind of hinting at it being like, I kind of look a little orange, and then kind of hinting that like maybe you should make this in black and white if you already like edited it this way. And I was just like, okay, maybe I should.
Those are always good to have, though. Those are critiques and things that people have expressed that only makes you a better photographer, you know?
Mm-hmm. And as far as like when you mentioned Pinterest, like, do you feel like, again, it might just be a generational gap, but do you feel that more of us kind of follow trends and what the Instagram and social media algorithms follow, or do you still kind of see a lot of photographers now kind of doing like original concepts and ideas?
In that
like,
sense,
you know, like Brandon Wolfel style, or like other like I guess quote unquote like notable social media presences where you'll see like YouTube tutorials of like, oh, how to follow Brandon Wolf, or oh, how to follow this style.
Right. I think it's purely based on who you look up to as an artist. You know, I have many different artists that I look up to that all are in a range of different styles. So for me, I don't think I see a trend or a type of look that a lot of people want to emulate, because to me, I have so many different inspirations, and maybe for those photographers, they don't really have more than what they see on social media or through Pinterest. So that's all they can really like see as their inspiration. And I think there's nothing wrong with that, because personally, you work your way up to finding that. Because I remember when I first started out, I only would constantly see maybe 5 different photographers work. So it was the same type of content over and over again, and eventually you end up just picking that up because you see that so much. So I think for a lot of people, they haven't gotten a chance to venture out into different artists and different photographers, so they don't really see more beyond what is on Instagram or in Pinterest. Because when you look at really notable photographers or people who are nominated for certain awards in photography, it's crazy. They have way different styles than just what we see, and I think maybe that's why it looks like everyone's following a certain trend. But personally, I think anyone can find inspiration beyond the norm if they just look for it.
Yeah, it's just such a crazy time where I guess the way that I view it is just, again, like you said, with Pinterest, and how a lot of people will see a lot of stuff on Instagram and Facebook and think that I want to copy that. And then, of course, like mentioning the elephant in the room, and that, you know, right now, as of recording this, it's March 30th, so we're kind of in quarantine and in self-isolation, social distancing right now. So kind of seeing how everyone, I guess, especially like creatives too, trying to see how everyone's kind of dealing with COVID-19 or coronavirus and how it's affecting creatives.
Yeah.
Like I've mentioned it to a few people, how I've been wanting to on the Let's Shoot Hawai'i Facebook page, where again, a lot of Hawai'i photographers are active. I was thinking of doing kind of like a self-portrait challenge, where you kind of like see how you can do like the best self-portrait that you can do like within your house or anything like that. Although again, like you did a pretty good job, because if you remember that one picture that I recreated from you for that, I thought that was a great self picture. That was actually my favorite one out of like I forget how much photographers I chose, but out of like all of them, I think that was like my favorite one. Because I thought I looked really sexy. I thought I looked really sexy, and I thought you looked like really like badass with like the lighting and the shadow and everything. But
honestly, self-portraits, even if they are pretty hard to do, when you have a good setup, it's actually so much fun, because you really you have all control of how the photo is going to look like. So I really enjoy doing self-portraits from time to time.
Like, are you the type to kind of just work with natural light, or do you use like a full studio, like ring light, white wall, like whatever's available?
Whatever's available. If I have something to play with, I will. But for the most part, I don't have a studio setup just yet. So I've just been playing around with natural lighting.
Honestly, like I said, like if you saw like my studio setup at home, it's literally just a white sheet. Like it's not fancy. It's more just because people will be like, "Do you have a studio?" I'm like, yes, but no, kind of. Yeah. And then people are like, so do you take selfies of yourself in this? And I'm like, yeah, I just don't post them, but yeah, I take selfies in here because I think I look nice on some days, which which is also really weird, because now it's like, this is like the epitome of people who I'm one of those people where I always have to dress up every time I go outside. But now that I'm not going outside, I'm like, who do I dress up for? Like, do I just dress up to take pictures of myself? Or like, what am I doing? Do I want to look good as I'm like cooking hot saimin? Like, what do the people want to see? Like, do they want to see me like just, but you know, like you kind of understand where it's just like, it's a really weird time, and kind of like, how is like COVID-19 kind of like affected you, aside from having to, you know, I guess just do self-portraits or portraits of you and your other half?
Well, in a sense, are we talking about me as a creative or just in general?
I would say as a creative first, and then just in general after.
Okay. Well, as a creative, I think it is a blessing in disguise for sure. And I'd like to look at the positive side of things, regardless if it's hard to. And I would say that this time has really allowed me more time, basically. I have the ability to just learn new skills, whether it be practicing more my Lightroom skills or just Photoshop or just learning a new skill that I haven't really gotten into because there's never enough time in the day to do that. And a little bit of just creating a space. I'm sure we'll touch up on that later, but obviously my workspace is so important to me to actually do work. So with that and having time, it's allowed me to really see how do I want to create a space that allows me to create and just be more productive and like make something. And so this time has been really nice in that sense, but on the flip side, I am unemployed. I work for a salon, so we are currently closed. So that's definitely had a big hit in my financial side of things, but obviously everybody is on the same boat, so we're all just, taking it day by day, trying to find solutions to all these problems and just really not letting it consume me too much, but also doing what I can and serving my community the best way I can.
Yeah, I mean, especially for, aside from photography, that's why people always joke around that they're like, oh, hey, like, I'm totally down to do like photo shoots if you use like a 400 to 500 millimeter telescopic lens. But as far as like hairstyling, that's a very interpersonal like hobby slash work to be into. So to kind of like take a step back from that, like how has that affected you, and just being like, like I don't have, like, I'm sure you can work on your own hair and on Sean's hair, but like kind of taking a step back and even being like, well, like what do I do? Like, do I learn new skills for photography? Do I learn new skills for hairstyling? Like, what do I do? Because I can't physically practice it. It's more just like you said, because we can't really learn as much from everything from just reading about it. So, especially in something like hairstyling, I imagine that, like, kind of keeping a bunch of those skills fresh without doing it for, like, weeks to months, especially for hairstylists who, like, see, like, however many people a day, can kind of take its toll.
It definitely can, but I think prior to this, I was smart enough to grab a few mannequins so I can actually do a few projects at home. So that's been really nice.
Well, that's really smart, actually. I'm like, I honestly thought that, like, because I know a few of my hairstylist friends are just like, oh, I don't know what to do now. Do I just work on my own hair? But you know what? That's good. You're smart. You plan ahead. Like, geez. But
yeah,
like,
I definitely took home a few, a few mannequins. Just got my shears. About to do some cool haircuts, and just have fun with it.
Like, it's so weird because I've been egging on so many of my... Now, I'm not one to talk because I'm still like 2 to 3 weeks behind on photo shoots, just because like the month of February, March has been exceptionally busy for whatever reason that I didn't plan. But I almost kind of think of like this whole situation as kind of like a weird karmic like justice, where it's like, Miguel, you cannot put off these photo shoots for much longer now. You cannot keep doing more photo shoots and not finishing the ones that, like, now the world is gonna force you to stay inside, and like you have to work on this. And I'm like, crud. But it's such a weird situation too, because now I'm kind of egging on all my friends, because a lot of my friends were like, oh yeah, I wanted to blog, or oh yeah, I wanted to do like gaming on YouTube, or oh, I wanted to like, start writing, or etc., etc. And I'm like, well, you know what, bitch, now is the time. Because like now, like so now I'm kind of like motivational speaker for my friends, where I'm just like, okay guys, you cannot, like, now is the one time where now you are stuck at home, like now you technically should have no excuse to not be able to do this, because otherwise I'm gonna be checking up on you like once a week. So if you haven't made any progress, I'm gonna be very sorely disappointed.
Yeah, I think that now is the perfect time to start doing all these things, because when are you ever going to have all of this time, I think a lot of people are just scared probably to try something out of the fear of it not being perfect. But I think there's never been a perfect time.
Yeah, I mean, just like being forced in a situation and kind of doing a lot of stuff at home. Like, I've been noticing that I've been trying to do it too. I'm just not having as much success because maybe I just am not a handyman in any case whatsoever, and maybe I should go to Lowe's or Home Depot sometime soon. But I have been noticing that you have been doing a lot of home improvement lately. Like, literally posting at like 12 or 1 o'clock at night, posting that you're like handy manny with like a picture of a drawer.
Oh yeah, a lot of home projects that have kept me very busy that I almost forget that we're in quarantine.
Do you live with is it just you and Sean?
That space is actually a 1-bedroom little ohana outside of my parents' house. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So then, like, is it like small enough that you can kind of keep track of the projects that you're doing, and you can kind of like take time to?
Yeah, basically. So that whole space will be mine's, and so I pretty much took free reign to just do all these projects.
It's so weird because, again, like, I guess it's easier for you because you have like a smaller enough space to kind of just focus on. But then my family's like, okay, well, you need to do home improvement, and I'm like, specifically on what? They're like, the whole home, and I'm like, what do you mean the whole home? Like, oh, just improve, like, clean and like do, and I'm like, okay, I guess, like I don't know if you want me to pull the weeds or fix the gate, like I don't know or paint the walls, like what do you want me to do? So I guess having like a smaller space would like help me like figure things out more easily. So I'm trying to just figure out what it is that I want to do, if like because I know for a lot of creatives too, they're just like, oh well, you need to have like a good, like a proper clean space that like inspires you, and if you're just surrounded by junk like I currently am in the room that I'm recording this, you're gonna feel like a little bit cluttered in your life.
Yeah.
But like how has it been for you with like, have you just been building or painting, or?
It's been a bit of both, actually. So I was lucky enough to start with an empty place because there wasn't really anything in there and none of my stuff was moved in yet. So I started from scratch basically. So I started with the walls, repainted them. I got new floors that I'm almost done setting up. They're actually really cheap and not that bad to put in yourself, but it does take some time. And I have a lot of projects in terms of home improvement and not so much decorating. So that's what takes a lot of time because I'm still gonna redo the kitchen cabinets. I'm still gonna put up some backsplash on the kitchen. We're still gonna do some demo with the bathroom. So it seems like a never-ending project, but I'm trying to do it one at a time and just focusing on the bigger picture and just the things that do require a lot of remodeling. So once that part is done, then I'll just be moved in and kind of worry about the little projects as I go, because as you know, every home improvement done by yourself doesn't just happen overnight. It takes a very long time if you don't have the budget for it, and I've spent quite a lot of money already, so I'm just gonna put it at a hold because I am unemployed, so I really don't see myself putting in more money at this moment.
I understand. I fully understand. You know, it's so weird because I guess with the way that I see you as like a creative and a person, like just how I would say, or again, maybe you disagree or whatever, but I would say like to me, like you seem like a very organized individual that like whenever like I think about like the space that you would like do your work in or that you live in, I always imagine again like a Pinterest, like a minimalist white clean, like a motivational board, like white clean tables and like or like neutral tone, like you know what I mean, like those Pinterest rooms that look so like succulent and just minimal, like just like a creative space. That's just how I view it, but I don't know if that's how you decorate or how you view yourself, and especially too with you and Sean, like how that whole process kind of is with decorating and home improvement. If you're more messier than I think, you know, let me know.
Oh, definitely. It's like the biggest misconception about me is the fact that I'm organized, because I am not. Like, I know how to clean, I know how to organize for other people, but for some reason I can't do it for myself. I think I struggle with the fact that I don't care if my things are messy, and so if nobody else gets to see it, then I'm fine with myself being messy, because no one else can look at my stuff and really see how messy I live. But it's just crazy because everyone assumes that I'm this organized person, but I'm really not. Like, I will tell you right now, my laundry is in like 5 different places. I don't even have an actual like desk to work on. I just bring my things to any desk, whether I'm at Sean's house or at my house. Like, I don't have a solid space, and I think that's why it's so important for me to finish this room or this like space that I got, because I really need to make some changes in that department, because I have been so unorganized for so long, and it's crippling to be an artist when you don't have a proper workspace.
Do you feel like you're the type that, I guess, like, kind of adjacent to this, like, do you feel like you're the type that you would give advice to someone, but then you're kind of hard to take your own advice?
Oh, I'm so like that. I feel
because
like
I'm that person where I'm just
Yes.
like do as I say, but not as I do.
Yes, completely. I struggle with that because I just don't have that sense of urgency for myself. You know, I'm like, I can tell someone, like, you really should keep this in check. But when it comes to myself, I'm so okay with being dysfunctional and just sporadic and all over the place. Like, I don't mind it. But I think it's because I live in a chaos already that, to me, that's just day to day.
It's like, despite giving as much advice as I do, the 5 mirrors in my room do not help me reflect in on myself at all. But oh my gosh. I think one thing that has helped me personally it was like advice from it was like someone in like the armed forces or something like that. I think it was someone in the Navy, but they said something along the lines of like, one of the things that can really help you get going in your day is to at least make your bed. Like, so you wake up early and you make your bed, because then that's at least one thing that you got done for the day. And then from there, you're already in the mindset of like, okay, I can do more stuff and accomplish more stuff for the rest of the day. Because if you kind of like just go straight to your bathroom or just go straight to the kitchen after not making your bed, you're kind of just like, I don't know, I don't want to like do all this stuff.
No, yeah. Actually, what's crazy about that is Sean taught me how to do that, because at his place, if I'm sleeping over, he will never let a day go by unless we do our bed together when we wake up.
Do you have like a queen or a king size bed?
His is a queen, but mine is a full size. Yeah.
Okay, no, I understand. I only have like a twin size bed, so I'm right there with you. I'm like, it's a very, very small bed. Even when I was like in my relationships, my exes were like, "Are you sure we can cuddle on this?" I'm like, I don't know. Well, like, we'll see. And then again, like, I dated, usually all my exes are, like, over 6 feet, so maybe that also, like, was the reason why, because I'm 5'2", so,
yeah.
big height.
Fit in a bunk bed once, so it can be done.
Well, like, it's so weird, because my bed is actually, like, one half of, like, a bunk bed. Like,
oh my god, I used to have that.
Not the frame, but just the bed itself was from a bunk bed, so I'm just like, you know, I'll make it work somehow. But then I also, what's it called? I used to have it on a frame above, but I remember that there was like a very specific reason that I have it on the ground now, but I totally forget the reason. I don't know. Maybe I'm just scared of monsters under my bed. Maybe that's why like it's on the floor now. But this is like a very weird tangent to go on, but like, do you guys get centipedes at your house?
Not that I know of. I haven't seen one in a while.
You are so lucky, because like that's the one thing that I think mainly, it does not happen often, or it's like very like maybe very rarely, but I guess sometimes because my bed's on the floor, I get so scared that like a centipede is gonna come up and bite me as I'm sleeping. And it did actually happen, and it did actually happen like about a month ago. So, and that was like once.
Scary.
And that was like, but it didn't bite me all over. It kind of like, I guess I was wearing really short shorts that day, and I guess it bit like the inside of my thigh. And I guess I woke up from the pain gradually. Like, it wasn't like, it was more like an itching pain where I was just like, why am I waking up? And then I'm like, oh, and then I try to put my phone light towards my leg, and I'm like, I see like 2 very like distinct marks, and I'm like, oh, okay, I better like get up, and then I uncover like not my sheets, but like my pillows and everything, and I see a centipede. I'm just like, fuck, okay,
Oh no.
all right. I just remember that night just waking up at like 3 a.m, just being like shouting to all hell, being like, what is going on here? Like, why is there like a centipede in my bed?
Those
So
are
I'm
kind
just
of painful.
Yep, yeah. But just in general, like, I have very traumatic experiences with bugs, so I'm just not a fan of bugs in general. That's why I'm just like, if I were to do more home improvement, maybe I would just kind of like, not gas the entire house, but I would be that person to just like, okay, I gotta look through every nook and cranny with like a mask and gloves, and just, if there's any bugs there, I have to get rid of them. Like, I'm just, it's just always just scary. But in terms of like just going back to smaller living spaces, I know that you and I, when everything was open, we would try to go to the gym as much as we could. So how have you kind of been doing your home workouts now?
So they have not been happening.
I understand.
A lot of it. Yeah, I just, for some reason, I can't even make up the excuses at this moment, but like, I don't really have much equipment at home, and I know that's such a lazy excuse, but I definitely just can't do a home workout. It's like, it's tough. And it's funny because my trainer texted me saying that he and his boss were thinking about possibly having private sessions for anyone where they will just have a fully like deep cleaned gym, and people could just do one-on-one sessions of 2 people max at a time. And I was like, it did sound great at the moment, but I was like, honestly, we're all in this period for a reason. I think avoiding any physical contact with people that I don't see on a day-to-day is just for the best. But for a while, it was kind of tempting.
I mean, all I have at home is just a 15-pound kettlebell and a foam roller. So I'm kind of like, because I have gone to Target and Walmart and Sears looking for dumbbells. Like, if I could just find 15-pound dumbbells, I'd be good.
Yeah.
Because then all of my leg and ab workouts I can do at home. It's
Right.
just more my upper body. So I've been looking, and I've been like not calling constantly, but I've been like trying to check every once in a while and trying to be like, hey, like, if you guys have any weights, please let me know, because like, I need, like, because I mean, again, I can lift the 15-pound weight like kettlebell, but I'm gonna have to be very, very, very creative instead. But it just feels like it's such a weird period where it's like, okay, I have to focus on doing photos, but I also have to do home improvement, but I also still have to do my fitness. So I'm just like, in what order do I do what? Like, do I wake up in the morning and just get to photos, or do I wake up in the morning and do I like do my fitness first, or do I wake up in the morning and try to like get some homework done, like home improvement done? And I'm just like, what do I do? It's just such like my life is such organized chaos. Like, I don't know if that's how it is for you, where it's like in any other person's eyes it would probably be chaos, but to the person it seems like very organized.
Oh yeah. It's, for me, it's like the struggle is just to organize my thoughts, and once I get that in order, it's like, okay, then I can like actually move. But the fact that I can never seem to figure out what's the best way to go about anything, it's like I'm just frozen.
And then too, I don't know if like I also want to take a break and like play some video games or read and like take a break, because then that's also time that like every potential hour or day that like I spend taking a break, the model's gonna be like, oh, where are the photos? Or so and so's gonna be like, oh, hey, what's the update on this? And I'm like, I don't know if I want to take a break, or like, do I just drink? And again, like I told you how caffeine makes me with anxiety, but I'm just at this point where I'm just like, do I want to subject myself to, because that's been the only way I've been finishing my photo shoots as of late, just because, again, maybe it's because I'm eating a lot more than I normally do, given that I'm not really exercising as much as I used to and my metabolism might be slowing down. But I feel like I've been needing so much like caffeine and energy drinks just to like get me through like one full session of like editing my photos, because I'm just like,
oh wow,
I want to take a break. I'm so tired. Like, this is a lot of photos, and I'm just like, but at the same time, I'm like, the more I wait, the more they're gonna be waiting. So I'm just like, And then at
Yeah.
the same time, I also like, I want to take a break. I want to play video games with friends and like read and do all this other stuff. So I'm just like again, like my friends call me the epitome of organized chaos, where it's like there's a system, but to anyone else, it would not be a system, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I just, it's just such a, it is such a weird time right now. And thankfully, during this weird time, at least for you, at least you have someone that you can. I mean, you also have your family too, but
Yeah.
especially for Scorpios, it always helps for us to have someone, an other half, be there for us, because I'm single right now. But you have someone very special to you.
It's been nice. I mean, I will say I definitely don't take that for granted at all. And it's nice, but we also try to remind ourselves that we are still able and allowed to have our own time. So I definitely make that a priority, that every day there is a time in that day for us to just do our own thing and be by ourselves and not have to be in each other's space.
I mean, if Michelle Obama and Barack Obama can last through like hard economic and financial times and still be together today, I'm pretty sure like y'all are fine. You know what I mean? But I just love Michelle Obama so much, so I mean, that's just my personal bias. But how long have you and Sean actually been dating?
It's over 4 years and then a couple months, something like that, because we were together since December of 2015.
Okay, so it was like right around senior year for you.
Actually, after a semester of college, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait. Did you? Oh, wait. December of 2015. Oh, yeah. Never mind.
So
yeah. You graduated
college.
You graduated May 2015. Sorry. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So then, like, what was the story of like how you guys got together?
It's so interesting because every time I tell a story, I always find it so funny that all along we've always been in each other's lives, and it just never seemed like.
Are you guys like quote unquote high school sweethearts, like, or like that, like the childhood friends turned into lovers, something like that?
Basically, I wouldn't consider us high school sweethearts because, of course, I've had
like college sweethearts.
Person, basically. We known each other since 6th grade. We've always been in each other's classes, and we've always had a good friendship. I would always go to him if I had any problems. He would always come to my house if he was in trouble or anything, and we were just always good friends. But we never started to really entertain the idea of being together until after I visited him in Oregon, and that was the first time I've ever been out of the islands. So that was like the first time I really got to be my own person, because I was never really single in high school. So being able to just have my own freedom and just kind of see what's out there, I think, and also the fact that we were both in different places from our hometown, it just kind of allowed me to see him for him and as a person, rather than just like my best friend that I always grew up with and I've known since middle school. And from there, we were just kind of like, you're such a fun person to be with. Like, you totally understand me, totally get me. I think this would be a big step, and, you know, our friendship is on the line, but I also think that you're this awesome person and you deserve another awesome person in your life. And we were just like, let's do it. You know, when we got back home from, I think this was like fall break of college, we sat down and we're like, why not? You know, like, what is there really to think about? And I think we could sit around here and just keep contemplating about potentially losing our friendship, but it's like, life is so short. Why don't we just give it a try and see where it goes? And here we are over 4 years later.
Do you feel like it's easier for you, like, as far as like taking that step, like it felt more like easier for you being with someone that you had already known for so long, rather than just like a total stranger that you kind of just hit it off with like for like a few months and then decided to date?
I think it was so effortless. I didn't come into the trip of going to Oregon with the intent of being potentially in a relationship again, it just kind of happened. We were just kind of like, wow, like this is so different, but it feels like we've always been together because we've been friends for so long. And so it was more about the fact that we just wanted to make sure that we weren't just using each other to be occupied and just like having someone because we were lonely. So we just really wanted to make sure that we were making that decision because we wanted to be in each other's lives more. So it was a lot of work, you know. I wouldn't say that it's easy just because we've known each other for so long. It's still hard, if not harder, because you have to kind of you have to know that to get to know this person all over again, even though you've known how they've been for so long, and you want to put this idea of them in your head. You kind of can't. You just have to see them from a different perspective because they're your partner and not just your friend. So that was a little difficult at first, but eventually, you know, you go through all those types of fights and you kind of learn how each person deals with their problems and just like being a friend while being together, and you just make it work. You know, it's a decision, but it's also so effortless.
Like, I think as far as like my problem has been, it's just like all three of my serious relationships have all been similar to yours, where it's like it kind of just happened. Like I didn't expect for it to happen. It was just one of those things where like I met those people and was really vibing well with them. But my main problem was, again, which is why it's something that you prepared for, is that I think I kind of rushed into it. Like there wasn't really time to get to know the person as, like, for example, like they were kind of like my boyfriend, but they weren't my best friend. You know what I mean? I think that's what made it hard for me to kind of want to confide in them, because then it kind of felt like everything that I was confiding in them, it kind of felt more as like an obligation as a boyfriend, but not as if it's a thing I want to do as a best friend. It's kind of like, oh, I'm telling you my problems because I have to, not because I want to, sort of thing.
Right.
Which then led me into, after my 3 serious relationships, I kind of had like a few, like, I guess like kind of like things with like a few, like 3 very close friends of mine, which again was a lot more easier for me. But then again, it's similar situation to yours, where I guess because the friendship was kind of at stake, that's what made it like the hardest part, because then like 2 of them I don't even really speak to as much anymore in the same way. Like we kind of just because of like how things went afterwards. And then one of them I still kind of talk to, but we're still kind of like, we have no idea like what the situation is, and we're both kind of like similar to your and my schedule, where we're just kind of like both very busy individuals, where it's hard if at any point during this part of our lives to find the time to want to date, if at all, with me and those specific me and that specific person. So how has it been for you, like dating someone for so long? And like, because again, for me, as far as like a Scorpio, I am a very intense person. I don't know if I don't know like, again, because like my whole concept of love before, when I was with my exes, was like I have to give so much gifts, I have to like do all this stuff, I have to be there at this person beck and call, which again I realized later on, after crushing on my friends, they were telling me that like, you seem a little bit too intense, and like this is a lot of affection, just, you know, from this, like, you know, from the start and everything like that, which then I had to kind of take a step back and I guess unlearn what my concept of love was, and how to best be there for someone without being there too much for someone. Like kind of realizing like, how much space do I give someone? Like, do I, like, if they're going through a hard time, like what do I say? Like what do I do? Like how much do I, like, if they say they're having a hard time, like do I show up at their house with like their favorite drink or something like that, and like ready to talk to them therapeutic style, or do I just be there with them on the phone? Like, you know, like how has that been for you? Like, I guess like with being for someone, is because my longest relationship was 2 years. So for you, for 4 years, like how has that been?
I think it changes over time, and it definitely depends on how old you are at the time and what you've been through. For us, it's so different from what it used to be, because now that we're older and we've been together longer, I don't see myself needing the same type of, I guess, affection and attention that I used to when I was younger. And for us, what's been working, because everybody's different, is the fact that we can always come together at the end of the day or any time of the day and have quality time to just talk. And as long as we have even just an hour of that, we're completely fine throughout the day to do whatever it is we need to do. So even though we live in the same place and we virtually kind of live together because I'm either here or he's at my place, we actually don't see each other any more than we used to doing long distance. We still talk about the same amount of time, and we just don't spend every waking hour of being together, especially during this quarantine. It's kind of crazy because he's probably like one of the only people I see.
Mm-hmm.
We still just have those couple hours before we go to bed and when we wake up to really hang out and spend time together, and then we carry on with our day and just allow each other to be our own person. Like, I can't even stress that enough, most people, because it's so easy to feel like dependent on them. And I feel like when you don't make that a routine and kind of establish like, okay, this is you and this is me, you're gonna have different interests, different friend groups, and different things that only you are involved in, and that's okay. Unless you have that, it's just, you're gonna slowly you're gonna fall back into this place of not feeling like you're being yourself anymore. I don't know. It's kind of hard to have a rule because I feel like everybody is so different. Some people require more energy from each other, but for us, this is just what's working right now, and maybe a year later will be different. But I think you just kind of see as you go, you know?
Mm-hmm. Do you know what your love language is? Have you taken that test?
I have a long time ago, but I haven't done it recently. But I think for me, what I like to receive is acts of service.
Okay, so you and I are the same then, because I have not met anyone else that has done acts of service. Because the other ones are like, I give a lot of gifts, but I'm not like a gift giving sort of affection person. Like I appreciate it, but I'm not like a gift giver. And then words of affirmation is nice, but it's kind of like if I know that the person's there for me, I don't necessarily need to hear it. It's like I'll know. And then physical touch is okay. It's not like I require it. It's just nice, but it's not like I'm dependent on it. And then the other one was, what was it? There was acts of service, physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time. Okay, so quality time would be like my second, I guess, but I'm one of those people that, again, I'm sure you understand from how your relationship works, that if I'm with someone and we both have a busy schedule, honestly, even just a simple like, hey, good morning, like just a simple little talk in the morning, and then we both go about our day. And then even if we live in separate houses, like even just a simple talk at night, just being like, hey, how was your day, etc., etc. Like, I don't necessarily need to be there in person spending quality time. It's like, it literally could just be like a nice text in the morning and a nice text at night. And then it's like, that's totally fine, again, because I might be busy. So acts of service to me, I feel like lends itself to more of a deeper understanding. So say, for example, like I'm sure anyone could get like roses or chocolate or gifts or etc., etc. But when someone leaves a note and they're saying something, for example, like, hey, like I know you just did like 5 shoots the other day and you're gonna have to be up, like here's some like caffeine, or here's like an energy drink, and here's like a little snack to keep you, etc., etc. That to me kind of shows like you're understanding my actual situation and giving me something practical, rather than just something that's just, you're just giving this to me because you have to as a boyfriend. Like you're just giving this to me as like a flowers or chocolate or etc. Like, no, you're looking at my current situation and you understand that right now I'm a little tired, but I have a lot of work to do, and you're giving me stuff to perk me up and to keep me going so I can continue to do what makes me happy. Or I guess like the best way to do it is like, especially when I'm sick, like when I'm sick and I have somewhat like a other half to take care of me, that to me is like the perfect example of like, okay, like even if you can't be there 24/7, like you understand that like right now, like I hate having to be in bed and I hate having to be sick. So you being there for me to support me and then like trying to help me get better as soon as possible so I can get back to doing what I do and what makes me happy, like gives me like a perfect understanding that like you understand what I'm going through and you actually want to help me. Like you're not just there to be like, oh well, now that you're sick, like oh now we can like stay together more and blah blah blah. It's like it's more like, oh, like I see that you're sick and you're like having a rough time. Let me be there for you right now while you're not feeling good, and I'm gonna help you get better so that way you can get back to doing your thing and like getting back to photos. And so for me, acts of service, like I feel like lends itself to deeper understanding. Like I don't need physical touch, I don't need words of affirmation, I don't need gifts, like I don't necessarily need quality time. It's more just I see it in the actions. Actions speak louder than words, essentially.
Yeah, no, that totally is how I feel about what it takes to like nurture a good, healthy relationship.
And then like, do you feel like, as far as like your relationship is concerned, like do you feel like acts of service is mainly how you kind of like experience like your guys' love? Like it, like is it more quality time or more acts of service?
I think it's a little bit of both. I guess quality time would just be dependent on how much we have of it, but I always know that when he does small things for me, that's when I like see that, oh, he cares about me or that he loves me. So I feel like that's what we both do for each other, because over time, you know, you realize that when someone is truly there for you, they'll do the little things too, and it'll just be something that they continuously do for you.
And then what's the best love advice that you can give for like long-term relationships?
It's going to be so redundant and cliche, but I feel like the best advice is for people to just truly work on themselves, and it will just come, because it's also a lot to do with you as an individual and where you're at mentally and emotionally. So I feel like despite, like, you could have somebody fall into your lap one day, but if you're not in the right headspace, you might just not be ready for it. And so I think it has less to do with when the opportunity comes, but when your heart and your mind is truly ready for it, because it does take a certain type of person to be in a relationship. And sometimes, and it's okay, not everybody can be in that headspace just yet, you know?
I mean, that's the one thing, like, aside from that, working on yourself, I know that the one other consistent advice is to never go to bed mad at each other, which I hear from, like, a lot of long-term, like, relationships. They always say, like, that's their consistent advice. But my main struggle has always just been, because there's always, like, two schools of thought about dating, as where I'm kind of, like, more towards one than the other, but one of them is kind of like, okay, well, would you rather date someone who, during this time right now, that regardless of whether you're going through a rough time or you're kind of working on yourself, would you rather be dating someone who is there for you through your hard times and can see you grow as an individual, and after and then of course they grow themselves as well, so after the years come, like 4, 5, 6 years, like you both have grown so much with each other into new people that still work well with each other and form an even deeper trust and understanding through that. So kind of like a Michelle Obama and Barack Obama sort of situation, where despite going through tough financial and economic times, like they still stuck through with each other to the point that of course Barack Obama became president. Or would you rather be on the other end, where you would only start dating after you're fully realized, and then people would want to date you when you're quote unquote at your best, so that way, like when you're dating, like you don't have any like financial troubles, you don't have any like family, like you don't have any like personal trouble or personal like therapy work that needs to be done. Like you fully have worked on yourself enough to a point that you have money, like you have like everything is essentially set. So when you're dating people, you're kind of at like the best version of you, like the quote unquote like the high school reunion version of you, where you have everything ready to go and you're ready to date without any qualms. But then like you would still have to kind of date someone who, like, again, maybe like they haven't seen you when you're at your lowest, they're only seeing you when you're at your highest. So, And that's always the thing too, is because I'm like really on the fence where it's like, do I want to show people that sometimes I get a little bit depressed and that I'm going through a hard time, like in a relationship, because again, that's not as always attractive, or do I want to wait until like I'm fully like I have no like quote unquote no work left to do on myself, like I'm fully ready to like go out into the dating field and just do my thing?
I think this saying goes perfectly with that question of if for the right person, anything you do will always be enough. And for the wrong person, no matter what you do, it'll never be enough, which is in the sense of as long as you have a person who is worth showing that vulnerability to, and that they show you that they're willing to stick by you and work through those things, then I absolutely think that it strengthens a relationship more to let them see the dark side and the hardships and the struggle, because that's what makes a relationship feel more worth it than it is to just hide those flaws and just wait for a perfect person to meet your perfect self, because it'll just never be. There's always going to be another hurdle along the way, and I feel like if we wait to be perfect and wait for someone to accept us, then we're just always going to be waiting. And I think that's something you learn over time, because I find myself doing that from time to time, of like I want him to just see me as a perfect person, and I don't want him to see me go through something or act crazy, but it's always going to be the right thing for you and your relationship if they truly want to help you and be there for you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more rewarding too.
Yeah, that's why like I kind of lean more towards that side, especially because like especially like seeing I guess like a bunch of my friends who are in long-term relationships now be the type that they, you know, obviously they're dating each other because they feel very strongly towards each other, but even so, like after like 4 or 5 6 years, like they've been through the ups and downs with each other and are still there with each other, rather than like if I was like a millionaire and like in my perfect body and then I get someone to date me, and then they would still have to see that like, oh well, I get a little depressed sometimes and I'm dealing with my own struggles, versus someone where like they'll see you over the years and be like, okay, yeah, like you're not perfect, but I'm not dating you because you're perfect.
Right.
Yeah. It's just it's okay. Hopefully 2020 after this isolation, maybe afterwards I'll find my other half. It's a lot of my friends always wishing me good luck and trying to be like stop trying to find random people to date. But that's okay. Maybe it might just be like yours, where maybe just in case, maybe one of my friends who I never thought of dating, or maybe someone that I've mentioned to before, just all of a sudden it's just like, hey, I'm into you now, or I've been into you for a while, like let's get together. And I'm like, gosh, I hope so. Gosh, I really hope so. Oh my gosh. But now on to something more casual, like some casual points. So when we met in Oregon, like, and this is the thing that like we kind of got we bonded over, like how we're both into thrifting, like we're both into finding like very weird stuff. And even when I go to Goodwill recently, or go to Goodwill as of recent, before COVID-19 happened, like I have just been finding some really weird things. So like, how did you get into it?
I was very bored like, I don't know if it was in the summer, but I was just stuck in my apartment and I couldn't find a job at the time. And I was like, I've just always been into the idea of starting a clothing line, but I can't sew. So I was like, I need to find a way to get inventory. And the thought of a thrift shop came to mind, because I knew that I could find pieces that I find close to my aesthetic and my fashion style. And so people were doing it all over the place, and especially in Oregon. So I thought I could start there and see where it goes. So that's mainly where that whole thing came from. And I do wish I could definitely keep up with it now, but I know that it's something that's hard to keep up with, especially in Maui, because we don't really have a place to shop for thrift stuff besides Goodwill.
Well, I'd say, like, honestly, I would probably see you as the type to kind of run a market, like Conscious Ups or Cut Market on Market Street. Like, I see you as that type of person where, because they get a lot of donations, but they, like, will add, like, a logo, or they'll, like, kind of, like, paint splatter it, or do, like, something kind of creative with it, or kind of let other artists kind of, like, paint on it, and that sort of thing. I guess that's how I'd see you kind of running up your store, but that would be, like, the closest thing I'd say, where I'm just, like, it's just weird stuff, but it's kind of like someone else's trash could be someone else's treasure, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, hey y'all, if you want to, like, donate your old vintage Gucci or Louis Vuitton or Balenciaga stuff to me, you can message me at Miguel Morales Photography on Instagram via DM. Please send me stuff. But anyways, yeah, like, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of exciting every time I go in, because, again, I'm not expecting to find something, but then, like, you go in and then you just find that really weird thing, and you're like, you don't have a story, but I kind of want to get you because you don't have a story. Like,
right.
It's like, there were times where, like, I would find, like, this is something that is also, like, a video idea I've been wanting to do with you, where I wanted to try see if you and I, it was similar to, like, a little bit similar to, like, the thrift store, like, fashion challenge, where it was more between couples, but I think we could kind of, like, adjust it where it's like we would try to see if you and I could pull off a few looks with just thrifted clothes. Like, literally all the clothes have to be, like, well, I mean, of course, except for underwear, but everything else just has to be thrifted, because I have so many weird things that I'm pretty sure I could probably pull off a few looks.
Yeah, I think it's like, it's also an art form, so definitely if someone wanted to create, they'll find other means of doing that, whether it's from clothing or from furniture. So there's tons of ways to, like, upcycle even furniture, which I've been really diving into, which is super cool.
Like, what is your, like, preferred method, or not method, like, your preferred style of clothing when you go into, because, again, like, thrifting is, like, all different types of clothing. So, like, what do you usually go for when you're going to thrift?
I really have a broad sense of style, and I find many things appealing. So it's really hard to say what my actual sense of style is, but I definitely have more of that boho type of style in my closet right now, and a lot of, like, neutrals and just very conservative hemlines. Like, I'm a big fan of my friends call it Amish looking clothing.
Yeah,
it's
I can see
my
that.
favorite.
Like, and what, like, do you go more for, because I don't really see you wearing, like, very colorful stuff, like, you're more neutral tones.
Yeah, I just haven't found pieces that I've been able to, like, incorporate, but I would love to.
Like, because even when I went to Cut Market, I think the things that, like, stick out to me are just things that are just kind of avant-garde, like, kind of weird experimental stuff. Because there was this one, let me see if I can send you a picture of it. Hold on, you can give me just a sec. But I went to Cut Market recently, and then there was this, like, thing that I saw that when I looked at it, I was like, I need to have the sweater. Like, I don't know what the story is behind it, but I just need to have it. Let me see if I can find it. It's just one of those things that when I look at it, I'm just like, it does not have a story, but I want to believe that there's a story to this. Oh, again, I think I can. I'll send it to you. Let me see if I can, like, I have it in my computer here for 1 second. But, like, what's been, like, a really what's the weirdest thing that you got from a thrift store?
I think it's probably, like, those little knickknacks that are, like, decor that look like they're, I wouldn't say it's weird, I would just say it's something different that I've never had before, but they're, like, wooden displays that have a smaller one inside. It's like a Russian,
the Matryoshka doll.
Is it, like, when it gets smaller and smaller but you can put all of it inside?
Yeah, that's the Matryoshka doll. It's a Russian doll.
Them. I love them. I found one in Oregon and I thought it was so cool.
Oh my god, like, because there was like when I was in Michigan, like again, like on my way, when you and I met each other, and I went to Michigan, and I went to like some of the Goodwills and like thrift stores there. There was just some weird items I found there. Like again, like there's this one like vest that I found, like this denim vest that I don't know if it looks like it's Native American inspired or if it just has colorful like I don't know how to like. There's just so much things that like I look at it and I'm like, I don't know what the story is behind this, and I don't think I can explain it, but I know that I can put a look together with this. That sort of thing, where it's just, it's just so weird. Let me see if I can, like, send you this really quick, so that we can see it in the chat. Okay, I sent it. Let's see. The quality is kind of weird, but like just this hoodie.
I love that.
Like this hoodie, like again, like when we went there, like and I bought it, like there was no story to it. Like we kind of just went in there and we were just like, should we get it? And I was just like, I'm not gonna like I don't think I'm gonna like see another. I don't think I'm gonna see another hoodie like this anytime soon. So I feel like I can kind of be like a little avant-garde and experiment with it. So that's the kind of stuff that sticks out to me. Where again, in any other situation, like because I found it in a thrift store and it has no story. Like even I feel like even the person that we got it from, like they didn't have a story for it. It was just kind of one of those situations where it's just like, it just kind of exists. It's just kind of there. And I'm just like, okay, I need to do a shoot with this. Like I need to see what I can like experiment with this.
That's super cool though. I mean, those are like very like one of a kind, you know? Like you'll never find something like that just anywhere.
Yeah, that's why like I knew that I was like, okay, even though I'm a bit tight-lipped with money, I guess this is the one time I'm gonna like I have to buy it now because otherwise I'm never going to see it again. And that's also, too, every time I've gone to Goodwill and then I found something that I liked and then I always take it back where I'm like, maybe I'll wait till next time. And then I go there and it's not there anymore. And I'm just like, why?
It's like
this...
Sorry. I was like, yeah, you always find these like things and you second guess and then you're like, oh, I should have grabbed it.
Like, so my friend, he went to Florida and he got me like Disney, Mickey Mouse gloves to use for a shoot. And there was something I saw at Goodwill before where I think it was like from Disneyland, and it was, you know, like one of those like kid hats with like the propellers at top. Like it has like a little. Yes. Okay, so I saw one at Goodwill. And then like what's it called? I saw one at Goodwill, and I was so on the fence. I was like, I want to get it, but I'll wait till next time. I go there the next time, and it's gone. And I was like, I could have used it. For a shoot. So that's why I'm just like, I need to stop second guessing myself. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I just have that luck though, where I'm just like, you know, because people are always like, oh, well, if you go in and you, if it's there the next time, then it was meant to be. But then I'm also like, I don't want it to be meant to be for someone else, so I should get it now. I don't know. It's just thrifting's weird, but it is nice to have like a kindred spirit where it's like, hey, you wanna go and just find some weird stuff at like this random ass store? Like let's go and like look at this random ass store and just see what weird jewelry or rings or pieces that we can just get from here.
Yeah.
But anyways, now on to some other points. So from Baldwin, would you say your time in Baldwin was it like more fun for you, or was it more of just a weird high school experience?
I mean, overall it was pretty fun, I would say. I feel like I got a good amount of experience doing everything I wanted to, or just like hanging out with people and just having that social interaction that I enjoyed for the time being. But I was definitely stoked when I knew that we were graduating soon, I was definitely one of those people where I was like, I'm definitely not gonna miss this place.
I understand all too well. What was like the weirdest? It could be with a teacher, it could be with a class, or it could just be with your best friends. Like, what's like one of the weirdest or some of the weirdest like high school memories that you've had that you just think about it and you're just like, only as a high school kid could this have happened?
I think the weirdest thing that me and my friends used to do was definitely playing soccer at the quad. Like, I don't know what it was about us and playing
Oh
soccer.
my god.
But
Oh
we
my
would
gosh,
play
yeah, no,
soccer everywhere.
I remember now. Oh my gosh. Oh my
Like, that was every
gosh.
morning. We were like, who has the soccer ball today? Because it was like the one thing for us to do before school started. Like, we were the only people doing that at the time. And then after that, I think people started playing like volleyball, whatever.
So yeah, so that's what I was gonna say is I was on the other side of the school where I was towards the front and everyone was playing volleyball.
Yeah.
So like I was like a part of that group because I knew of the ones that were playing soccer, but I was just like, oh, I'm so tired and I have like a really heavy bag from all my honors classes. I'm like I'll just play a bit of volleyball and then I think I'm good. But like it was such a weird experience because we were going through like we had like so many different principals too. Yeah. If I remember, like, or well, like you came like a year after me, but I remember like there was a time where like when I came, like we had like the old like the I forget her name, but we had like so many principals and we had like so much stuff that was changing. But as far as like
many things.
But as far as like just in general for like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what's the weirdest memory that I've done with my friends because we've certainly me and my group of friends, we've certainly gone up to some shenanigans over the years that I remember just thinking like, man, I should probably take a picture of this moment before I forget about it. But now I'm forgetting about it, so I'm just like, let me think. I'm like, because I've done like so much like weird stuff where I was like in Snake, I was in Breakdown, I was also in band, and then like, I'm kind of like a very weird person where it's like I was kind of an honors person, but I kind of skipped class a lot. So I was kind of that person where I would skip out to AOHT, like whenever I got the chance to go and sneak out to Tota's class. To the point that my other teachers were always like, why are you always like going to like, do you have any reason to be there? I'm like, yeah, I do. Like, I'm the trips manager. I have to organize our field trips. And they're like, so you can skip out on work class? I'm like, yeah? Question mark? Maybe?
Dude, I used to skip school in senior year so many times, like every week. I was skipping.
Did you really?
Yeah, because I was really like not having it during the last quarter or so of high school, so I would literally just not go.
I think what made it harder for you, did you do senior project?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Gosh, you're so lucky. I mean, that was a time and a half. Jesus. I was
really glad that I didn't because personally I just didn't see it serve me anything after. So the fact that we had the option to do it, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I think it was just one of those things where like, again, because Filipino Asian household, they were going to be like, okay, well, you kind of have to do. Also, I'm the oldest, so I'm kind of like, okay, well,
yeah, I'm like setting the way.
Yeah, but it's so weird because like, again, we'll follow up with this in just a bit, but like I'm very different from my brother. Like I'm very, very different from like the rest of my family. But we'll get into that in a sec. As far as like my friends and I, like I'm trying to think, like we've done like so much stupid, like going to the mall, like not like mall rats, but like going to the mall and like going to this beach or going to like this stupid place and like having an adventure, or like I'm trying to think like what's been like the stupidest thing I've done. I think, well, I'm a little bit accident prone, so there were a lot of times that I guess I was a little bit of like a prankster. So I would like take people's phones or whatever, or like just for fun, not like stealing it, but like visibly take it while they're looking at me. And I would run out of various classrooms and I would fully trip and like tumble, like full 360 tumble while still like holding the phone up above my head, not like dropping it. Like I remember there was one time where, if you know where the band room is, Like,
Yeah.
I remember, like, because the flooring there is kind of hard. Literally, as I'm exiting out the second door out, I trip holding someone's phone, but my arm is up the whole time. So, like, imagine, like, you're gonna do a tumble, right? You do, like, a full tumble where you put both your hands on the ground and then you, like roll forward. Imagine that, but I do it only with my left hand, and then I'm keeping my right hand up the whole time as I'm, like, holding the phone.
Wow. And you would do that, like, pretty often?
I think I was just accident prone. Like, I do it, like, enough where it was just to the point where I was just like, I don't know if it's just dumb luck, or I don't know if I just bad at breaking phones, I guess. I don't know. But then, I'm trying to think, like, were you ever at the school at night?
Yeah.
Did you ever tell, like, again, like, I went there for, like, school, like, club and field trip stuff or whatever. But, like, have you ever told ghost stories? I mean, this also applies to EL school, too, because I would do this all the time. But have you and your friends talked about ghost stories when you were at schools at night?
I haven't had, like, a personal encounter, but I know that many people have their own stories of, like, things that they've seen, but none that have happened to me personally.
Oh my
Have
gosh.
any happened to you?
I swear upon my life that I have seen so many shadows at Baltimore. Again, this was before Safeway was built. Or no, this was after Safeway was built, but before the priest and the people were purifying the school. Like, I swear upon my life that in sophomore and junior year, I swear upon my life that I saw so many shadows down the hallway, and I would call out. And I was there with a friend. I forget who it was. I don't know if it was band or drama or something like that. But I remember calling out and no answer. Like, but I swear upon my life, like, it looked like someone was there. Like, and then again, like, Baldwin is no stranger to having, like, weird people kind of just coming up on it because it's, like, so central that literally anyone could just walk through it at night, really. Even with the gates closed. So that's why, like, I just remember seeing so many, like, shadows and weird stuff there that was just like, I don't know, like, but I'm also into the occult, and I kind of like weird ghost stories, so that's just my own personal thing, where I just, like, I like the idea of, like, going with a group of friends to some place, and then having something spooky kind of happen.
Yeah, no, I love stuff like that. I think it's so fun to entertain the possibility of, like, ghosts and just spirits and what other things are going on in certain places.
Like, I think, like, I always say this as a joke. This is always a joke, but this is my running gag with my best friends, where I always say that, like, if you guys really want to prove your mettle to me, we will go up to EL Valley, and at the strike of 3 o'clock in the morning, we will play with a Ouija board deep in EL Valley. If we and I'm like, if you do that, then, like, you will prove to me that you, like, have no fucks and you are, like, a true, like, you're ready to rumble, essentially.
Yeah.
But I mean, I also don't want to piss off anything, so I always just say it as a running gag. But I guess if anyone legitimately wanted to do it, I guess I wouldn't say no. But then, like, I guess I'll just have haunted stuff, like, happen to me. I guess I'm just gonna be that person. Okay, and then, like I was saying before, like, we're both in, because how big is your family?
There is 7.
Oh, there's 7
total.
of you, actually?
Oh, no, there's 5 of us, but 7 total.
Yeah, so you have 4 siblings?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, it's like, oh, that's a lot, because it's only just me. My father lives with but it's just, in my household, it's just me, my younger brother, and my mother. So, like, how was it for you being, like, I think you're the middle child, right? Like, you're like, because you have 2 younger than you, and then there's Gwen and Demi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then how is it, you were literally the middle child, like, how is that experience for you, especially in a Filipino household?
I feel like I definitely have that middle kid syndrome, and just having that, like, kind of having less attention going to me, that I could do pretty much whatever I wanted, and a lot of the times, like, things were more lenient for me, but not too lenient as it was for my younger siblings. So I think I've had, like, a perfect balance of both. So I think being in the middle has definitely been better for me than I thought, and I've been able to do a lot of things because they weren't so focused on what I was doing, I would say. So I liked it.
So you have a little bit more time to, I guess, from the middle child perspective. Again, I'm the oldest, so it's a little bit different for me. But I guess from a middle child perspective, I guess you have more time to discover more about yourself because I guess, quote unquote, there's not as much attention towards you in the sense of like, I guess my perspective on how I see it, it's different for only children, but for the oldest, usually from my experience, because it's like the first child, like that's the one that I guess they give the most freedom towards, because it's like, oh, like you're the oldest, like of course, like, you know, we trust you to like do your thing and like that's okay, like you can kind of do what you want. And then the very, very youngest, I think I would consider the most spoiled. So they get the most like attention in terms of like the gifts and like all the stuff because they're the youngest of the kids. So the middle child, I always see as like the ones that like, because they're kind of left alone a little bit more, they kind of have freedom to kind of like discover more about themselves and do essentially what they want while kind of being a bit under the radar, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, I think that's definitely true because I think most of what my younger siblings remember in their childhood is completely different from the way my older siblings grew up. So yeah, that's like totally what my childhood was like.
Like, what's it called? What's been like the weirdest, I guess the weirdest Filipino family or like sibling memory that you have?
There's just so many. I swear we do like all the old traditions and superstitions, but I think something that we always used to do was whenever it was a new year, none of us were allowed to like leave our house. We would have to celebrate together and we would all have to wear polka dots because it symbolized luck, I guess. And
does it?
Yeah, every new year all of us would wear polka dots and we would have to bring round fruits that equaled the year we were entering. So for 2020 we would have to have 20 different types of fruits. It's such a strange,
that is a lot of fruit.
Yeah, like different types of round fruit.
So what did you guys do for like 96 and 97 and 98? Like you guys have like 98 fruits?
I think maybe they just went off of the last number, something along those lines.
Okay, I was gonna say, I'm like, that is a lot. That's a lot of fruit. That is a lot of like fruit.
That. Yeah, I definitely only got to celebrate that a few times since I moved, but yeah, it's like always been something that I mentioned, but not everybody would understand. But we would always do that as a family. So I don't know, we do a lot of different weird things as a family.
Do you like? Is there any? I'm sure you and I, we have been to. I'm sure we must have both been to our share of Filipino parties growing up. Was there any like weird food that you didn't want to try?
There were, but for the most part, I think I liked everything. Like, I love Filipino food. I think I can't even name what they were, but I feel like the most unique and like weirdest type of food that we have is this like meat that's coated in the blood of the animal.
I know what
we
it is.
call it dinuguan, but other people call it something else.
Yeah.
But it's like my favorite for some reason. And it sounds disgusting, but I don't know. I just love it.
See, it's like, because there's like certain things like that where I know dinuguan, and then like, I'm gonna be honest, I have never had balut in my life. I still to this day have not tried it.
It's not the greatest to me.
Yeah, that's why I would just look at it and just be like, I don't know. I don't think I can do this. This doesn't seem like my thing. But like, I just remember going to so many Filipino parties as a kid where I would just go there, and of course it's like, you know, your classic traditional Filipino like house with all the like the Catholic decorations and everything like that, and then just a giant ass, like, I'm trying not to swear, but a giant ass pig on the table with a giant like apple in its mouth, and I'm like, what is this? Like, is this like? And they're like, yeah, like this is like our dishes from back home, and I'm like, is it really?
Yeah, it's actually not a party without those.
Like, I just remember thinking, I'm just like, man, like this is my culture, but I also like, it's a little, I don't know, this pig looking at me is a little much. But then it's like, I'm kind of like half and half, where like half of them I would never dream of myself of eating. If I have eaten it, I wouldn't eat it again. The other half are stuff that like I could eat for like hours on end if not stopped. So like lumpia, I can eat it for like I could probably eat like 20 of them in one go at a party if I really, really wanted to. If I'm just having
that's like the best.
And then pancit, like usually any type of pancit, like especially at any party, I can like eat like however many platefuls. Like it's like that. Chicharron. I guess I didn't like ube growing up, but I guess now I have a little bit more of like a preference to it. And then halo halo, I think it's okay. I think it's just kind of getting over the taste of having like corn and like veggies in it too, which is a little weird for me. And then I'm trying to think too, like I just remember going to so many Filipino parties and then like being embarrassed by my family, always asking like, or like to other family friend parties, and they're like, "Oh, does he have a girlfriend? Or does he have a girlfriend yet? Or oh, does he like? Oh, what are his grades? Or oh, like oh, he should go hang out with our like my son or my daughter and that sort of thing." And me being antisocial, I'm just like, don't.
Yeah, those are always hard.
I'm like, don't make me socialize, please. I don't want to do this. Like, I would be that type of person. I don't know if you're also this. I don't think you'd be, but like, I was that type of person, especially in high school when I would get invited to parties. I wouldn't really socialize much with other people. I would just kind of find the pet of the household and just hang out with the pet. So like, there were times where I would be at a house party and then I'm literally out in the front with the cat. Like,
oh my gosh.
Or like with the dog. Like, I'm like at that house party looking for the dog. Like, okay, there must be a pet somewhere here that I can like just chill and hang out with.
Right, rather than having to socialize and talk.
I mean, it's a little bit
sometimes.
I mean, it's a little bit different now, of course, considering that alcohol is involved. But I mean, like back then, I was just one of those people where I was just like, oh, don't make me socialize with my cousin, with my merciful amount of Filipino cousins. Like I don't know what to say. Like what do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? Like social interaction. But I would love to eat, and I would just love to just, I don't know. It was just like that time. Oh, and I guess doing a ton of karaoke. I guess that was my time to shine, because I would always be that person who was the best singer out of the family. So I was just like, I don't want to talk, but I guess I'll sing. I guess I can sing. But I think I was always kind of like, it's so weird that like I consistently want attention as a performer, but don't want any attention socially, if that makes sense. Yeah. I don't know how it is for you, where it's like you equally want a lot of attention, but also don't give me a lot of attention at all.
Yeah, it's like a weird, like you want both, but not really. Yeah, I definitely get like that sometimes.
Like when you guys had your Friendsgiving last year, which I'm also hopefully seeing if I can plan with my friends this year, like where do you kind of see yourself as like in the group, I guess? Like, are you more like the talker, like the quote unquote like the comedian, like where do you see yourself in your group of friends?
It just depends on who I'm with. Usually I'm more better with people one-on-one than I am in a group, just because I have very, very energetic friends who have big personalities, so it's really hard to get us all in a room speaking at a time. So it's definitely, I've never been that outspoken compared to them, so I find myself...
Well, because you have friends like Brent, so like I can imagine like it'd be hard for all of you to like talk,
yeah, they're crazy.
Like talk and drink and all at the same time, and like take pictures and like not try to like step on each other's toes, but also trying to talk a lot. So like that's why I'm like, that's always my problem, where it's like I would want to have big gatherings like that, but I just don't know if like are we just all gonna drink, or how is that like whole situation gonna go?
Yeah, it's definitely just depending on the crowd and how everyone's doing and what the activity is, but overall I think that I just tend to lean more to listening to people.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely like see that part. In any case, do you have any like future projects planned?
As far
or like anything that Manelle Rose Photo or Hair is working on currently?
I'm personally just working on putting up Manelle Rose as a brand and less of one particular thing, because as I see that I want to dive into hair a little more, I also just want to diversify myself. And I think creating Manelle Rose as more of a brand than to put into one focus, I think that would help me start different projects that are more in like maybe interior design or doing things in clothing or things like that. So I think just finding a way to have a lifestyle approach to myself, I would want to go in that direction, and I think I'm slowly figuring that out this year.
And then do you have anything that like you feel the people should look out for?
You know, I have no clue at this moment, but I know that things are slowly being put together in the process. So when they do, I will definitely mention it, but I don't want to get too excited and get ahead of myself.
Oh yeah, and then again, like I'm sure like over the course of this year, like I'm sure we'll probably talk more about some YouTube stuff and like probably figure out some like cool videos that we can do. And then again, I still need to I think the worst part about all of this is I didn't get my hair cut before this. So my hair is just it's not in a good place right now. So, you know, again, we're still gonna have to do that YouTube video where I eventually go to your salon, but you know what that'll be like for another time.
Definitely work on something.
Yes,
even
please.
If it's remotely.
Yeah, like honestly, like we'll figure something out. Even if we do like a kind of like a lookbook challenge, or like trying to make the best of like a home studio or lighting setup, and we try to like vlog about it. Like we can try to like see what we can do and like put together a video like remotely. I'm pretty sure we can like do something like that.
Yeah,
but,
let's do it.
For sure. In any case, you know, honestly, this is like again first episode. I don't even know what the name of this thing is gonna be. I'll probably figure out by episode 2 or 3. But you know, I just wanted to thank you, Manelle, for coming out. If you wanted to say some of your handles or where the people can find you, so I can put it up on the screen.
Of course. Thank you so much again for having me, and I'm so honored to be your first guest. Definitely, if you would like to continue following me, my Instagram will be at Manelle Rose. My hair account is at Manelle Rose Hair. And if you'd like to follow photos, I do have an Instagram under at Manelle Rose Photo. And so, yeah, you can keep up with me through there. And that's about it.
Yeah, and I'm really just hoping, again, like we don't know what the situation is with COVID-19, but right now it is March 30th. So we're hoping in a month's time, hoping that everything kind of sorts itself out, because I don't think me and Manelle are the types to really like to stay at home all the time. Like we need to kind of be we need to be out and about. We cannot just stay as productive just being at home and not working out, because gosh darn, do I really need a set of dumbbells right now. But in any case, again, like thank you so much for coming out. I know it's like a little bit of a hodgepodge sort of style, but you know, again, thanks for coming out, and you know, hoping that whatever next video projects we work on, hopefully they'll be just as funny. If not, I'm probably just going to be wearing more dresses again, which honestly at this point, I'm like, I've kind of worn like 20 dresses. So I'm kind of like, I'm used to it by now. In any case, I just wanted to say thank you everyone for listening, and hope you guys tune into the next episode. We'll see who we have on. So bye everyone. Thank you.
Bye.